going.
And we're live.
And we're there.
Everyone. 1-1.
At the end of an unbeaten
Another
February.
Another 1-1.
Remarkably, that is our 5th consecutive 1-1 against Newcastle United in the Premier League. The only non-draw was that 2-1 thanks to that Doherty header in the 94th minute and about 30 seconds to go on December the 9th, 2018. So at this rate, it might become a world record streak for 1-1 draws. But I think on the basis of the play in the second half, we deserved it. First half, until towards the end of it, we were deservingly 1-0 down. Not 1-0 down in the first half, obviously. Folks, I think, haven't had a small bit of alcohol during the game. But deservingly, I think we went 1-0 down, considering that our overall play in most of the first half, and obviously the way in which we conceded.
And bar the last 5 minutes, we didn't turn up in the first half.
Indeed. We very much deserved to go 1-0 down. It was a good header from Lascelles. You've got to remember he's a very lanky man and terrific. Nothing Patricio could really do. But then just as good.
It was a good header, but
defense.
Three static centre halves.
Doing that for.
I mean, which one? I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one really. Which one of them was supposed to pick him up, but none of them did. So.
Indeed.
Well, I think Sace missed the flight of the ball, didn't he? He pulled off towards Cole. So he completely misjudged the flight of the ball, or something else drew him there. I thought it was a pretty poor performance, to be honest. There's nothing apart from Neves scoring a header, which I think will end up being a collector's item.
That's his first header that was his 20th goal for Wolves, I think I heard, and that was his first header. And a terrific header too.
Bloody good header that was. Yeah.
5th goal of the season, I think, as well.
But you're right. I mean, he didn't have a good game, and it just shows how if Neves doesn't play well, our whole team doesn't play well.
Indeed.
It shows how important he is.
Yeah.
Apart from Troy Orio, I thought did play well.
Yeah, I thought Troy played well. I think Neto tried, but he didn't really come off for him. No. I thought Johnny looked like he was on the cusp of having a good game, but it just didn't happen. I thought Semedo was okay. And in the midfield, though, I was thinking about how to describe it. I think Moutinho had a good game. He was about a lot. He was putting himself where he needed to be. But with him and Neves, it feels like if you've got a recipe and you've got sea salt and a more expensive sea salt, you use both of them. They just don't complement. They just don't complement each other.
Well, I think that's it for me. It's for me for Moutinho to be having a good game. Neves needs to be having a good game.
Yep,
that's how I feel about it. It's if Neves isn't having a good game, then basically the midfield. I do think he is that important to us, and his form is that important to us.
I think you need to look at who you're playing, and look who you're going to be up against and how they're likely to play, and put players around Neves to complement. I can't knock Moutinho. He's doing
no. I don't think it was particularly. He's certainly been better in the last 5 or 6 games than he was earlier in the season. I think he was pretty poor earlier in the season, but he hasn't been. I wouldn't have said he was bad. Really, he got ran. I mean, there's a few times he got ran just straight, ran, but
he will. He will. That's what happens to him.
But I was liking the fact that he was playing a few more risky balls through.
Yeah,
they weren't always coming off, but that I don't mind that. No. I'm quite happy I'm more happy to see them being tried.
Indeed,
yeah, I agree with that completely.
Indeed, yeah. Well, I suppose we if we want to try and still get ourselves towards the echelons of fighting, making a late bid for a year, we've got to take those risks. We've got to get stuck in. I personally still think it's probably a bit too beyond the realms, but we're only 6 points off 6th place. Even if the others still have a couple of games in hand. But we do have to take risks. I have to say that Fabio was so unlucky at the end there. That was a terrific save from Dubravka. Yeah. I think it was the keeper shows tonight. Both Dubravka and Patricio doing themselves very decent. Obviously for the goals, for the goal. I think for our goal, maybe he could have stretched it over a little bit, but it was a good header from Lascelles. But of course, the Bradford for theirs, he got a hand to it and went in. But apart from that, both keepers, I think, should
They
certainly.
weren't tested enough, though, were they? We did. I looked at
That was the
Dubravka,
problem.
and I looked. Yeah, there was a few times when the camera lingered on him, and he had that look of a keeper, where if you put shots in, he could go either way. I really thought you've got to test this keeper more. And for me, this was a game where you want to be shooting on sight almost,
Yep.
looking into his eye. You can see sometimes, in a keeper he's just going to save everything. But Dubravka didn't have that. Not to say he wouldn't, but he didn't have that confidence in his eyes to me, and I found it very frustrating. The midfield has to do so much work, but they haven't got the pace to drive up the pitch. And they won't drive up the pitch. That leaves Traore and Neto having to do that job, running literally 20, 30 yards, or Semedo or Johnny, to have any chance of anything happening.
Although Neves apparently ran 80 yards to then get the ball in, he basically legged it from one end of the pitch to the other, which in this case was a masterstroke. Because as I say, it was and the angle as well. I have to say, the angle in which Ruben was able to take his header was superb. On the wider point, though, you're definitely right. We need more coming forward. We absolutely need more. That should be, along with obviously the need for a new centre back, which is pretty obvious in the summer. Someone who can burst forward and be adventurous and taking those risks to help supplement the strength that we've got. Because of course everybody is. I think the side is as we've seen, is a good side, and when we play well, we play well. A 12 points out in the last 18 should not be discounted at all. But I certainly do think there is absolutely room for someone who can take a gamble and run forward and bust the gut essentially. No, we have missed that. I think since Doherty left, actually, I have to say, considering the way he got engaged and involved within both goals and assists. Because of course, 2 years ago, Doherty himself ran, I think it was 60 yards to end himself on the header, which got us the win.
Maybe that's the real story of Newcastle. That's what we need to win the game.
Indeed, and that was obviously them kind of bit demonstrated to say we've Neves steaming from the other half, the end of half the pitch, to then getting a terrific header. So it's it's one of those things I'm sure we'll hopefully address in the summer. And I think we should, if we want to take that next step, and so hopefully with a full summer's break, then we'll hopefully be able to do that.
The question is, though, are we going to move to a 4 at the back and push
I'd like to have seen us go to 4 at the back today, because I don't think we needed 3 at the back. I don't think there's 3 of them there, and they weren't particularly marking particularly well or anything like that. So you may as well have had. To be honest, I think you could have played 4, and I don't think it would have made any difference. Except
you'd have that extra player in midfield.
Yeah.
Which is what we really miss.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so, I swear, when I say it doesn't make any difference, I mean defensively, I don't think it made a difference.
I think the difference was
possibly would have improved the defence, because you'd have had a bit more room and some better protection from midfield.
I think that I'd agree with that, and I wondered. I don't think players played badly. They just didn't. I think for our system to work, we need everyone to be on song, pushing up on their game, and because we're so set up defensively, if we're not on our game, pushing forward on the front foot, we do become very flat very quickly. So like Saiz did occasionally, and Dendoncker push up. Well, Dendoncker not so much. I can't remember. I feel sorry for Jose, to be fair. I just don't think he's used to having to work this hard, to be honest. I mean, there's such a gap between him and what's behind him. He almost just looked lost and forlorn.
It was quite I thought it was quite static at times, to be honest. I mean, and you noticed I think that's when Silva came on.
Absolutely, and I think that's down to just knowing what is expected, and also it's a bit easier when you're coming on with fresh legs against tired defenders. So I don't think you can knock Jose too much for that.
I thought I didn't.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Today. I don't think it was his best game today. I think he's had better games.
Yeah,
he did seem at at certain times when we were attacking, he was quite static. However, quite rightly pointed out by the commentary, he did push to the front post for Neves headers, which
exactly, and that was a very, very clever thing for Jose for Willian to do.
But it wasn't until that sort of time in the game before he started to do stuff like that. I felt he was very, very static early on in the game.
Yeah.
But then you're quite right, Rich. He is having to come awfully deep to pick up the ball. I mean, really, really deep, and like he probably isn't used to having to do that.
But the other side of that is he has to understand he has to press a lot better. There was a classic one for me. I mentioned it to my son where we lost the ball. He stopped, like, okay, the attack's over. Then he realised he had to get back. So he's 4 yards behind pressing. And it's not because he's lazy, because he realised straight away, I've got a defensive job to do. But you need to straight away switch to that mode. And I think that's the kind of element he's missing in this team. Like I say, it would be very easy to condemn him, but I don't think he's done anything to warrant that. I think Silva is continuing to show that he's got it. It's fine margins. All this is not ready. He needs to bulk up. Every game he gets better. And if you're seeing that kind of improvement, we're going to have a player. We're going to have a player in a year or two's time. Absolutely. I mean, other than that, I just thought it was a Nuno masterclass in setting up maybe right, but the tempo just isn't there. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating to watch, but what can you say? We've seen it so many times.
Oh, well, we've got a familiar voice making a return today. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Wolverhampton.
Howdy, Texas. How's it going over there?
It's good. It's a bit gloomy today. You guys would like it.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope everything over there, considering the weather you guys have had in across the states or in that part of the world, is better.
I'll tell you, out of everybody that I know in Texas, my family was the only one that didn't lose power. So
wow,
it was a nightmare for sure. Kind of like the refereeing today. Am I right?
It's Premier League refereeing.
Oh, gosh,
I think I've seen worse. I wasn't shouting profusely at this laptop screen as much as I do sometimes. Although it sounded like Mike Dean had another absolute stinker down at just down the road from here in Sandwell, and I think Nuno's comments a few months ago, which got in that £25,000 fine, were bang on. Anyway,
back, shouldn't he?
Oh, he should be refunded, and in fact, he should be refunded and given 25 grand extra on top for his point being proved correct.
Well, I'd say interest, but I wouldn't go that far. I think on the reffing today, it was my view. I don't think it was a hugely bad performance. It was just the typical, I'm not going to give you anything, but I'm going to give everything the other way. And I'm so ingrained to expect that if that's all we have, I think, wow, I'll take that. I'll take that level of, 50-50s going the other way, because I'd never expect them to come our way. I know, it wasn't a particularly dirty game. It's just the usual niggles here and there, and they go in favour of Newcastle every time. But it's.
I mean, I was pleased with the point. And also I only listened today. I didn't watch. So full disclosure, I'm on very limited bandwidth today. So, but Mike and Thomas seem to have a great time.
Well, you didn't much from I don't think you missed much in the first half. I'll be honest. Apart from the last 5 minutes, it wasn't great watching. Second half was better, and we even came out from the first minute and looked better.
And then, of course, Newcastle we
went one behind.
And then Newcastle got the set piece. Newcastle then obviously was it a set piece which gave them the goal, or was it a cross? It was a cross. A very, very good cross, must I say. And obviously a very good header from Lascelles, who's just a good rock of a centre back. But after that, though, we still I still felt that when we came out good in the second half, thinking, okay, we're still in this. I know, obviously, obviously the history of the fixture. Well, obviously, as you've shown, this is now the 5th consecutive 1-1 against Newcastle United in the Premier League. So it does certainly say something But before 1-1, I think it was a fairly entertaining one across the board because both teams came forward and Newcastle could have murdered us in the first half. I think it shows as well they've got a massive lack of confidence and they've still got big problems, knowing that they did have several very, very gilt-edged chances and they couldn't take them. They couldn't take any in the first 45. I say we were lucky.
Was it who at the post? Was it Almiron?
I think so, before he went off injured.
Yeah, he was unfortunate. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're Newcastle, you'd be feeling we should have won that more, convincingly. But apart from the Almiron chance and a few hits at Patricio, nothing too traumatic. I don't think they made that much more. I mean, Semedo had that great.
We just seem to be struggling to get the ball, or clearing the ball from our box. That seemed to be the biggest problem.
If
the ball got, the thing is, the ball didn't get into the box that many times, but when it did, it seemed to really take a monumental effort to actually get rid of it, more than it should do, and I don't know why. I don't
know why. I mean, there's a few times where we seem to try and just pass it out into the end of our defensive third, and all that's there are Newcastle players, and the player who might be there more often than not would be Ral. And I'm wondering whether it's an instinctive thing, and we just haven't got that link there. I've said before, I think that one of the things Ral did particularly well, or could do well, is when you clear it to him, he can have 2 or 3 players pressing him, and he just wriggles out, and you got a break on, or he wriggles out and plays it back, and then it's moved across. So I do wonder whether
he doesn't lose it a lot in that sense. In that scenario, he could hold on to the ball quite well.
Yeah, and if you haven't got that. I've said before, I think Ral's real contribution that we're missing is not his goals, but the other elements of his play. You never know what you've missed until you've lost it, do you? Similarly, I mean, you made the point about Jota that you can clear the ball, he'll run onto it, and he's further up the pitch already, whereas Traore and Neto are usually right on that 18-yard line.
Yeah, I mean that's something that bugs me, and I really want them to change. Is why is Traore back at the corners trying to defend? Put him on the halfway line.
And then put him further forward, and if the right ball comes.
Yeah, I've got no problem with Willian being back there for his height and aerial presence, but put the 2 quick players up on the halfway line, because the opposition will just simply not commit as many players forward.
As was shown at Manchester City away in 2019, when obviously Adama was fairly high up in the pitch. City tried to come in forward. Our defenders dealt with it, and then eventually it came to Adama, who then legged it and stuck it in the net both times.
Who's going to risk leaving 2 of the quickest players on the pitch? Exactly. Up on their own on the halfway line.
Well, they don't even have to. The thing is, they don't even have to be on the halfway line, do they? You leave Neto, you need Neto between the 18-yard and halfway line, and Traore on the halfway line.
Put a ball through to either, particularly Adama, and if Adama has got no one in front of him, then it could end obviously in gleefulness. So,
the other thing there is that even if Neto's on the 18-yard line, as soon as he sees that ball vaguely heading beyond the 18-yard line, he's running onto it.
He'll chase it, as he's shown. He will chase it. He will go after balls, and if he thinks he can realistically get them. And that's the thing. Which I think certainly, if Nino, if we could certainly try that again, again being more bold and taking those kind of risks, because as it has showed in the past, it can pay off spectacularly when it works.
I think one of the problems with that approach, though, and the reason we don't do it, is we play a kind of zonal approach. And that means you need specific bodies in specific positions. So you'd have to switch more to man. And to do that, I think you need more height. So your Johnny, your Semedo, Cody to a degree, Neves, Moutinho, they're not they're not suited for that kind of man-to-man. And if you've got Podence on the pitch, then he has to be the one on the.
At least Daniel is speedy himself, though.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not. He's never. He's got to jump a foot to even challenge someone like Lascelles. He doesn't move.
Yeah.
Indeed, I suppose. Indeed.
So, man of the match then today.
Oh,
Who we got?
It's a tough one. I think there are a few decent performances, as we mentioned. Tough to think, have to say. There wasn't any.
You have a think, Rich.
Yeah, it wasn't anyone fully standing out.
I was thinking Trory seemed to be the one who made things happen for us. So I know Neto put in the cross. I know Neves certainly deserves credit for that run. But I kind of feel that Trory kept going. He looked like he looked on. I'd go for Trory, I think.
I think I would agree. Not just agreeing for agreeing's sake, but he looked extremely threatening and was able to create a fair bit and enable us to get into many dangerous positions. I think during whenever we did come forward, and in on those, if he just he could maybe himself take a few risks, but at a point and say have a go, provided there isn't a defender too close to him, then it could pay off. But he looked very pacey. His strength used his strength immaculately well. Got a few more free kicks and stuff again, which was unsurprising, causing Newcastle players to get themselves into trouble. Obviously, also we'll say Rui again, because the first half particularly dealt with what he needed to deal with. Obviously unlucky with the goal for Newcastle's from Newcastle's perspective. But again, Rui just doing what he needed to do and showing himself a very solid keeper, and I think he's had a very decent month. And of course, Ruben, another honourable mention, has obviously gave to Ruben for his fantastic header. Say that's the first header he has scored for Wolves, and with the way in which he scored that one, I think he should definitely head the ball more. As it was a very lovely surprise when I noticed it was Ruben who was getting up to celebrate. And it's something of his game which we haven't seen. And there's also his 5th goal of the season. I think he's a joint top scorer, I think, potentially now. Trying to think. He and Pedro and Raul, I think 5 and 6 each, I think, all together in terms of goal scores this season. So, but the Dharma for me for his he just didn't want to give up. Went for it. He'll be knackered tonight. Probably be a bit knackered on Tuesday, but it's a sign we got a good player.
Cool. So two for Troy. Alex, do you want to chime in with one here?
Sure, because I thought Tomo called a great match, but I'm gonna have to give it to my boy Mikey. They did. There was quite a lot of praise for Traore today. So as I go watch the highlights, I have no doubt that I think he's the one that set up the goal right up to Neto and then over to Ruben. But I was they and me as well listening were just as shocked at when it was Ruben going up and heading it in. So that was a treat. He should get man of the match just for that. But we'll go Traore.
Okay.
And then Bob?
Well, I was thinking, I was very tempted to give it to Johnny because I just bearing in mind he is a fullback, wing back. He's playing in midfield half the time.
He came into the midfield a lot.
But that's it. But he's not like a player who's playing in midfield and then you go, oh well, where's he gone? He's not in his wing back. He's also then back in his fullback position when he needs to be, which I think is. It's why I praise him so highly and think so highly of him. I can't believe how much he does that. But I do think Traore is the player who should get man of the match because he pretty much made most of our chances. He was involved in some way, and it wasn't just from running at people. There was intelligent layoffs and stuff like that. It was a good all round performance from him. So I will also go for Traore as well. So he's got a full house.
He has a clean
Yeah.
sweep, which is lovely.
Finally got one
Yeah.
right.
He's a clean sweep, but I say, he definitely deserves it. And again, if we could just, if we find the back of the net at some point in the league, and obviously his last goal in the league was Man City.
Well, he scored against Leeds. Come on, let's face
Yeah,
it.
to all intents and purposes.
Officially,
I'm not having that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that was an goal. That's
officially it was against Man City. Officially, it was against Man City. But yeah, for Leeds, it's
Yeah, I think that's a classic
it was
reason
what it
why
was.
you don't look at stats.
Mm,
You look at contribution.
indeed,
You if you're not getting
and
up
it
the
was a
pitch,
rip buster of a shot as well against Leeds,
Yeah.
as we mentioned.
I just you just think with Traore, he's so close to being utterly brilliant, so close.
Yeah.
But he is still, give him a year or two. He's still young in the sense that he's under 25. Yeah, he's got 6-7 years in the game. He'll probably lose a bit of pace, so he's probably not going to be like a 35-year-old, unless it's. I mean, you never know. But
he's got very good feet. That's the thing. He's
Yeah,
not. He's very skillful. It's
he
not
is
just
very
pace and power. He is a
Yeah.
skillful player.
But and
So he
also,
might lose,
it's
like you say, he might lose a bit of it, but
you tend not to lose that first. Well, that first 5 or 6 yards is power, isn't it? That's power. Hopefully, he won't lose that. I mean, he's so. You just pay attention when he's on the ball, which as a fan you just love, don't you? And if you're in the ground, the atmosphere changes when he gets the ball, which again push him on more. So. Yeah, I do think it was one of those games which I will forget and never think about again. But I don't think any players played particularly badly. It was just nobody play. We just weren't at that level. It just didn't click. It's just the gears aren't just meshing. It's so close.
Indeed, it will click at some point. I think. By the way, Ruben's 5 goals have come in his last 9 games in the Premier League. So he has really found the purple patch scoring wise, and he's deserving to. And maybe again, the birth of his third child has spurred him on to really step up and actually become a big contribution in the squad, which is fantastic. Which I have to say is extremely fantastic. Also, I think at this point feels kind of pointing to just pay tribute as well to the legend of Graham Hughes, who sadly departed yesterday at 87. Wolves' long-term until 2012 years. Wolves' historian and served at the club for more than 40 years, I think, and had been to I think it was a season ticket holder for much longer than that. And obviously that southwest corner, I very much hope stays in his name, as it's a piece. Even though he never played on the hallowed turf or anything of the kind, just his contribution to the club was nothing short of phenomenal. So, much love to Graham's family, and thanks for you did at Wolves, mate.
Yeah, it was a nice chat.
Absolutely lovely chat. I think I did meet him once or twice. I think whenever I went into Molyneux, particularly during the development of the Way Youth Scene, where we had plenty of meetings in the Billy Wright stand, and just be able to see him near the trophies, and obviously all the trophies in the reception. Looking just pristine and gleaming. It's always a lovely sight. So hope his family can feel immensely proud as well. So hope that southwest corner, which I actually is a nice bit of the stadium, actually, even if it's unroofed and you sometimes get a bit soaked, stays like it.
Yeah,
I'd have no issue with it.
Absolutely. Also, I suppose in other news as well, that it seems potentially there could be nearly about 7,900 fans in the ground for the final day, if things happened correctly. Manchester United Manchester United at home on the 24th of May, which I think will be 4 o'clock kickoff because of how the Premier League has gone. It being tradition of last dates, but it will be fascinating to see how the scramble for tickets occurs, I have to say, when it comes to it. But Johnny Phillips, who's a big Wolves fan, Sky Sports presenter, said it's such a lottery would be such a hollow gesture. Let's have it all next season. And of course, as a membership holder, I firmly agree.
No, I'd agree with that. I think you got the issue that it's the last game, isn't it? Which seems unfair. I thought the opening before was a bit, I'd say Wembley's the one you risk it all on for the FA Cup final, which is a week before. Which I think they are talking about doing something with, and doing something for the Caribou potentially.
Yeah, well, they initially moved the Carabao Cup to the 25th of April.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering whether they'll have to shift it further with the fact that obviously that's 3 weeks before the government say 10,000 fans could basically go into the ground.
Well, I think that's up to the government, isn't it?
Indeed.
And it's up to we're over a month away. They'll probably make plans. I mean, the FA Cup though seems to be the obvious one where you can.
I think it will be. That will be a big test if they certainly want to hit the 21st of June. If they want to hit the 21st of June with full reopening of society with no restrictions in place, which could potentially mean the Euros being full in at Wembley, maybe actually all staged over here if rumours are right.
Well, wouldn't it make sense not just to say, look, none this season, go for the FA Cup, maybe the Caribou and the Euros if you want to, but in terms of the domestic game, no. And if you're going to open up any stadiums, surely you should look at lower leagues where the ticket revenue makes more difference. I mean, you think you think of the Championship, for example, which is, a lot of clubs get 18, 20,000. That revenue's not been there. You go down League One, League Two, it's revenue that they're missing. Just have a few fans in a Premier League game for the last game of the season for one club's fans, effectively. That just doesn't sit right. It just seems a hollow gesture and a bit insulting to the rest of the league, to be honest.
You can just wait till the start of the next season. It's not going to really make that much difference, is it? Let's face it.
No.
Like you say, do it properly at the start of next season.
Indeed, if we can if the virus is fully stamped out by say August, if community cases are almost at a minimum, then hopefully, fingers crossed, it will mean.
Look, it's the only thing that matters is people in hospital and deaths.
Yeah,
everybody in the country could have it. If there's nobody in hospital and there's no deaths, who gives us stuff? Let's look at next season. What's that next game? Who's that next game?
Man City.
Manchester City on Tuesday. Manchester
on
City.
Tuesday, I think, isn't it? Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Another late one.
That's for Traore.
Yeah. Yes, definitely, Alex.
But yeah, I suppose. No, I think you're right in terms of stadium and so forth. But I've stated a few times to some foes that my big test is if I am at Scotland against Croatia at Hampden Park on the 22nd of June, then I would think that things are getting back to normal. I bought that ticket last February, expecting and hoping to be at Hampden, and it would be nice to be able to book those 3 days off of the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. But we shall see. See.
Croatia or Scotland? Where's your allegiance?
Well, of course it has to be Croatia, and if they obviously stuffed us over in the FA in the World Cup semi, because it's Scotland, and seeing Scotland lose makes England chuckle.
Croatia play with the red and white checks, or have in the past, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw them in the semi-final of the Euros at Old Trafford many years ago.
Was that in Euro '96?
It was, yeah.
Croatia got to the semis. Wow.
I think they did. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah,
it was in the Czech Republic.
They got really far. They had a lot of. Was it like Stavro Suker up front or something like that?
Yeah.
They must have lost to the Czech Republic then, because obviously the Czech Republic got to the final and then lost to Germany.
Yeah. Maybe I'm false memory. You see, I'm so old that my memories.
It was France. It was France who got to the semis. It was
Czech
France
Republic.
who lost it. Yeah, France lost. Yeah, Czech Republic beat France 6-5
that-
on penalties.
That's who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the Czech Republic. There you go.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, it'd have to be Croatia, considering seeing Scotland lose always puts a smile on an Englishman's face. So
It's one of those where I think I just want a good game. I always like to watch
Absolutely.
Scotland try to do well. So long as they're not playing England, I kind of find we hate the English bit a bit wearing. But if other than that, I kind of think, yeah, I'd like to see you do well. But I kind of can say that because I know you won't. So it never really tests my leash.
Indeed.
My hot take in terms of international football is there should be no England, Scotland, or Wales or Northern Ireland. There should be a British team. Because I'm a British person, not anything else.
Yeah.
And that is, I could see the room go quiet on that one.
Well, is it Macmillan who said events, dear boy, events? See, the interesting one, I can see where you're coming from, because there are all kinds of problems when Scotland becomes independent.
Well, that won't happen.
Well,
we'll have to put this video on the on the political thread if we're not careful.
Yes, I know. Yes. Anyway, Tuesday, Man City.
Tuesday, Manchester City, who are 20 wins in a row, which is just.
Got to stop on Tuesday, hasn't it?
Absolutely, exactly. It's got to end sometime.
Something is meant to be. I think this 20 win streak has probably gifted them the title. West Ham not looking too bad today, and I think they'll maybe think they're unlucky.
My friend, who is a Man City fan, said, "Well, the end of this run's got to happen at some time, and you're our bogey team, so."
Well,
hopefully.
I think as well. Nuno's all game by game.
Yeah.
I don't think he is at all. I think this performance is a classic. We've got Man City on Tuesday game. Yeah. I've noticed that with a few times where we've had, we seem to be building up to a performance, and that performance is going to be in the Man City game. So I'm going to say we'll do a good account of ourselves, and I'm going to go. It's inspired by Alex for a 2-0.
Ooh, 2-0 against City.
Rory scoring both of them.
I'll feel a bit more reserved. I will go with I'll actually go for 2-2. I think both teams will want to go for it. City will now don't want to keep their very good run going. And I think this is the kind of perfect place where we could seriously give them a scare. And if we have that kind of 10-minute period as we did against them back in August, but we're actually able to put the ball in the back of the net. Still don't know how we didn't score at least twice that evening. The second game of the season. I mean, we could do some damage and say it could be a perfect stage for us to stage. And again, still we've beaten Arsenal. This obviously 2 wins against Arsenal this season. The win and the draw against Chelsea, the draw against Spurs. Obviously the narrow defeat to Manchester United, the hammer against Liverpool, and obviously obviously the disappointing defeat against City, but still on the whole against the bigger sides we have done relatively well again and again. I think it could, if from a top 6, from a big 6, the big 6 supposedly. I think we could do some damage, and it could be that kind of performance where people think, oh wow, Wolves is very much not here to be messed around with when they're good. So I think City's quality will come through, but I think so ours, which is why I'm going to go with a 2-2. And Adama will get one, and no idea who will get the other. Maybe Neves again, considering he is on fire at the minute. As I say, 5 goals in 9 Premier League games. Maybe a perfect occasion to put in another classic free kick, of which we are still, or another absolute screamer from 30 yards, which we're waiting for. But I think Tuesday could be a good one.
Alex, what do you think?
We'll go down 2-0 first half and win 3-2 in the second half, and it'll be glorious.
Just like question is though, will they have 10 men as was the case in 2019?
I can't see all the future cash.
Because I think that was a small help in 2019, but of course being at Molineux, that's in the Graham Hughes corner was that was just special.
it's wishful thinking for a repeat performance of that, but you just feel like
something could
something's in the
happen.
works.
Something could happen, and Leicester City will no doubt rub their hands in glee if it does.
Well,
Bod?
well, I think they will rest Diaz and play Laporte instead. That will
Ooh.
disrupt their back line. And then they will be camped in our half, pretty much knocking the ball around, but to no effect. And we will basically sucker punch them at least 3 times. Traore scoring 1, Johnny scoring 1, and Vitinha scoring 1. So I don't even have Vitinha starting either. He will come on and score. I mean, there you go.
The 90th minute.
A 3-0 win against Manchester City would cause the earth to come to a standstill. It would be glorious.
It'll be, and that'll be good for them, and it'll reset them, and then they'll go back to their winning ways again. We'll be happy. They'll be then happy later on.
Indeed. But of course, Watford.
Game.
Well, yeah, but obviously Watford caused that to happen to Liverpool in terms of Watford stunning the champions elect as they did last season.
But I think the key is that they will rest Diaz and put Laporte in their place.
Diasto, what a signing for City! Honestly, absolutely extraordinary. What a bit of money.
He's got that Van Dijk feel about him, hasn't he? The Liverpool lad.
He's just gone from strength to strength to strength, and his move to City, I think, has been perfect, and it's been a big reason why they are going to romp home to the league. I think they'll win I just a hot take into the Premier League. City will win the league with double digits in hand. Obviously, not as big as Liverpool, but still, they are heading for a monstrous total.
Okay, right. I'm gonna end it there. I'm gonna end it because
we've been 3 minutes to 11.
It's the end of the end. So we'll see you on Tuesday. Anyone who is watching, anyone who wants to join us, you are very, very welcome. I will post up the meeting information as usual. If you can't get on Zoom for any reason, you could do like Alex has done, and you could phone in just through a normal cell phone, which again, there'll be a series of numbers, international numbers. So if you're in another country as well, you can still join us. That's about it. So thank you, Cash. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Alex. See you all next week.
See you in 3 days. Less than 3 days.